The WWF, what the world is watching.
Hey guys, it's Steve from Mandex here. You're listening to Good Friends Better Running Podcast, only on the Counted Out 7 YouTube channel. Tyrone, let's go!
Well, we're live. Oh, no, that's the wrong show, isn't it? Class is now in set. Oh, fuck. Again, I did it again. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Good Friends Better Enemies podcast. I am Tyrone. I got my name right. And as always, I am joined by, is it Jay? Is it Mike? Is it Anthony? Is it Tyler? No, it's Jay. Jay, how the fuck are you today, bud?
How you doing, pal? I'm doing pretty well. All things considered, we're coming off of some very interesting times. Had ourselves a very controversial episode last week in terms of where we are going, where we left off. And, of course, we are hurtling towards the holiday season, which I know you and I both covet. We both love spending time with family and friends, and we're looking forward to some downtime after the craziness of the rush that is the holidays. It's always so funny how we lead up to this particular period of time and it's over within the blink of an eye. So I'm looking forward to the next month or so, looking forward to digging in even deeper to season 2 of the Good Friends Better Enemies podcast, and looking forward to taking my one-way ticket to San Antonio, Texas tonight.
Well, let me tell you, we are going deep into the heart of Texas for this one. Just like you, I am stoked for the holiday season, but I think I might even slightly be a little bit more stoked for January 2nd, when it's over, when I can sit back, put my feet up and go, well, fuck, that's done for another year. Let's crack a beer. Let's light a Marlboro. Let's fucking lay low for a little while, not spend any money, not worry about a goddamn thing, really until the spring.
Okay, that is a plan. That is a plan for sure. Let's see if we can't fit in some fun viewing in the month of January as well. I think there is some debate and possible rumor of a get-together for the Royal Rumble on tap. So we will see what happens. And of course, if we do get together, the taps will be a-flowing, I am sure. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's not bury the lead here. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening, we are covering this Tuesday in Texas. That is the World Wrestling Federation's follow-up effort to the Survivor Series 1991. Easy for me to say. The date it took place was December 3rd, 1991, from San Antonio, Texas. Weighing in at 220, no, that's Shawn Michaels' entrance, from the Freeman Coliseum with an attendance of just over 8,000 folks. And we have, as I allude to so often, a humdinger to follow up on. Tyrone, I don't think we need to walk the audience through what we just walked them through last week. If you're listening to this podcast, odds are you know exactly where we left off with Survivor Series 1991. Of course, we had The Undertaker go up against and defeat the immortal Hulk Hogan for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. That is the big headline coming out of this particular event. And I'm very curious to see as to where we go from here.
Me too, actually. I'm really curious to see where my medically induced marijuana brain took us for this one. Because, that's where I do my best booking. That's where I come up with my favorite recipes. That's where I realize how much I love Beavis and Butthead. So it's all kind of one and the same. But I have a question for you about this event.
Sure.
It's been a long time since I'd watched it. Did you realize that it was not a full 3-hour pay-per-view?
Yeah, it's a shorter one. And actually, that's something I was going to ask you right off the top of the page, was right off the top of the booking this week. Did you rebook any of the 9 dark matches that we have on this card? I'm going to quickly run us through.
I definitely did not. I mean, the people that were in the dark matches may be involved in my main card, but no, I did not fucking rebook all 15 matches that were technically on this card.
Well, I'm just going to run folks through the briefly, if I may, the dark matches in order as to what took place before the cameras went live on pay-per-view on this faithful night in December of 1991. The opening dark match was the Harris brothers. Oh my goodness, Ron and Don, of the Disciples of Apocalypse fame, defeating Brian Costello and Brian Donahue. I guess it was the brothers Brian. We had Sir Charles defeat Dale Wolf. Chris Walker defeated Brian Lee. So we had the Disciples of Apocalypse for the most part on this card. Chris Chavis would go on to beat Tatanka, going up against JW Storm. Greg, the Hammer Valentine, defeated the Brooklyn Brawler. The Nasty Boys, Brian Knobs and Jerry Sags defeated the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch. The Legion of Doom, Animal and Hawk, defeated the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. The Legion of Doom also defeated the Natural Disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon. We had Ric Flair go up against Roddy Piper, which brings us to our live event on pay-per-view. Now, Tyrone, do you have anything that you want to add to the build-up to this particular match and this particular event? Now, we did talk about what happened last week at Survivor Series 1991. Anybody that wants to know where we're at in terms of our wrestling multiverse can certainly tune in to that particular episode to catch up to where we are today. But did you want to give a Cole's notes as to where we are, between Survivor Series and Tuesday in Texas?
You mean the 3 days that happened in between?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if you had anything you wanted to add in there, or...
No, nothing happened. It's 3 fucking days. There was no Monday Night Raw. This was literally the next show on the card. You had your finish of Hogan and Undertaker with Taker winning. You had Jake Roberts and Savage involved with their Survivor Series matches. You announced on your goddamn show that it would be Jake versus Savage in Tuesday in Texas. So I guess I had to deal with that, but it's fine. Everything's great. I'm ready to deep down into the heart of Texas. I got my Hank Hill, King of the Hill t-shirt on right now. I am ready to deep down. Oh my God, those aren't words at all. I'm sorry. I am excited about this goddamn event. If I had an Alamo beer to crack right now, I would be doing that.
I'm hoping somebody gets nailed with propane or propane accessories in one of the matches. But I will say that the big headline, not only with The Undertaker coming out of Survivor Series 1991 as the champion, the other big headline of this event is that Jake the Snake Roberts was involved in the finish of that match. So it's going to be very interesting to see where we go along the road to WrestleMania 8 and, of course, the road to the Royal Rumble. Along the lines of this particular card, and to tell us where we are going and what the trajectory is coming out of San Antonio on this fateful night.
Well, we're going to do some weird things. We're going to do some fun things. It's kind of just like a night out with Jay and Tyrone. You don't know what to expect, but God damn it, you love it at the end.
There you go. So, without further ado, I say we just crack this guy up and crack it open like an egg. Let's open up this particular event with the opening contest on the pay-per-view, which was for the Intercontinental Championship. You had the champion Bret Hitman Hart defending against Skinner. What do you have for me, pal?
The opening contest of this Tuesday in Texas is scheduled for one fall under Texas Deathmatch rules. And it is for we're in Texas. Of course, there's a fucking Texas Deathmatch, but it is for the WWF Tag Team Championship. We have Animal and Hawk of the Legion of Doom defending against Brian Knobs, Jerry Sags, the Nasty Boys.
Okay, I like that. I dig that, actually. The idea of having the Stip in there, they've been kind of feuding for a while now. Of course, the LOD won the tag straps from sorry, help me out here. I lost my train of thought.
Nasty Boys. The
Nasty Boys. There we go. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, folks. It happens from time to time. My apologies. The Nasty Boys had been defeated by the LOD at SummerSlam 1991, so it makes sense for us to continue this. And then, of course, having in the stipulation of the Texas Deathmatch, hey, you know what? I like it. I think it's a good choice.
Well, that's probably where you're going to stop liking it, because we're going to get a hard-hitting match. It's the Nasty Boys. It's the Road Warriors. These four are known to work stiff. So it's going to be right from the get-go, I guess you would kind of call it a Texas tornado match because there are no rules. They're all brawling. There are chair shots. Back before there were chair shots. We're getting everything but the kitchen sink. All of a sudden, we get to the end. It looks like the LOD are setting up the Nasty Boys for the Doomsday device. Brian Knobbs is up on the shoulders of, was it Animal or Hawk? I can't remember who did the clothesline. Anyway, he's on
Animal.
Animal did the clothesline or hoisted him up?
No, Animal had Animal put the guy up on his shoulders, and Hawk would do the clothesline.
So Knobbs is on the shoulders of Animal. As Hawk is about to go for the Doomsday device, doesn't Jerry Sags find a Texas branding iron? And doesn't he hit him in the thigh and brand him with the Nasty Boys logo? As that happens, Animal is fucking pissed off, goes for him. All of a sudden, we get a chair shot to the back. We get a roll up. We have 1, 2, 3 brand new tag team champions in a Texas death match. The fucking Nasty Boys.
Well, for anybody that listens to this podcast, and certainly for me, this is no great surprise. I knew as soon as you said this match, we were going to have new tag team champions. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll be interesting to see where we go from here. They had just won the titles not too long ago, again, at the aforementioned SummerSlam event. So a little surprising that you had them drop them back to the Nasties on this particular event. But I will say that, no, it kind of makes sense to kind of, if you're going to put on a pay-per-view like this, that's kind of random. And it's asking a lot of the audience, I think, as well, to, pay to see Survivor Series less than a week previous. And then from there, go on to pay another sum of money to see this event. So this would give, dollar value or added value to the card or to the event by having a title change. So I guess for that reason alone, I'll give it a pass.
And it's a Texas death match in Texas. What else could you ask for?
Yes. Well, as previously mentioned, you cannot be in Texas without a Texas death match, right?
That is our rules for our show. You go to Texas, you're getting a goddamn Texas death match. I don't care who's in it. There better be one.
Okay, perfect. Well, then you can walk back what you said about Survivor Series 2003 then about the Kane and Shane McMahon Texas death match from last year.
New season, who dis?
Okay, that sounds good. We just erase all the critiques we gave each other last year. That's where it started with a fresh slate. I like that. So if you have nothing else to contribute for that particular match, the next match on the card is arguably the main event. It is Randy Macho Man Savage, accompanied by Miss Elizabeth, going one-on-one with Jake the Snake Roberts. And as we discussed last week, this to me is prime Roberts. I just thought the world of Jake Roberts. Watching this show back in preparation for this event, if you see that promo that Jake cuts after the events unfold in this match, like, holy hell. If you want to see promo work at its best, I mean, this is not just promo work. This is great character acting. I mean, Jake Roberts, holy cow. I can't say enough about how great this was.
Well, we'll get to that later because I'm treating this pay-per-view as it is a shorter pay-per-view that every match is pretty much a main event match to get the audience in there to spend their money 3 days later after buying Survivor. No, I guess it wouldn't have been 3 days later, would it have been? Because Survivor Series was Thanksgiving Eve then, so this was almost a week later. But still, you're shelling out your money. So I'm going to give you your money's worth right now. And the next match on the card is Rowdy Roddy Piper going one-on-one with the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
I like it. I like it a lot. I also, in preparation for this particular period of time, because we had booked the Survivor Series last week and now we're doing Tuesday in Texas, I went onto the WWE Network here in Canada. And, well, it's the network anywhere. But I checked it out here and I went to the old school page where you can see old Madison Square Garden events. And I was watching some of the house show matches from MSG, back when MSG house shows were like a big deal. They used to go there, I think, once a month at the time. And one of the main events, I think it was in October of 1991, was Ric Flair versus Roddy Piper. And that was a cool match. It was a really fun dynamic. They had great chemistry. So I'm all for this. I think it's a great match. I think it's a really good addition to this particular card. And I also like the idea that you're getting Flair coming off of that Survivor Series team win. He had just been the sole survivor at the Survivor Series. Having him have a one-on-one match with somebody from the opposing team makes a lot of sense to me. I like this booking a lot.
So the match itself is not your traditional Ric Flair match where he kind of cowers, plays the chicken shit heel. No, when Piper and Flair get in the ring, they immediately just go at each other. It's lefts, it's rights, it's chops. It is just a wild free-for-all. There is no stopping these two. You think a brawl? This is a fucking brawl. They fight in the ring for about 90 seconds to 2 minutes before they just start grabbing each other and rolling around and bear hugging and bare knuckle, fist to the face, fist to the face. They roll out of the ring. They keep going. The referee hits a 10 count. They don't stop fighting. Officials come out, try to break them apart. No one is pulling these two apart. It turns into just a complete slugfest with about 15 WWE officials out there. You've got Tony Garea, you got Rene Goulet, you got Dave Hebner, you got a young Shane McMahon, you got a Blackjack Lanza. I could probably name the rest of them for you if you want me to, but I'm not going to. They are just trying to pull them all apart. This match ends in a complete no contest. It's a quick slugfest to set up a future match, future rivalry, but it's on the card. I'm happy with it. I hope you are.
No, I am, and I'm fine with it being what it is. I mean, there was clearly already some tension and some rivalry going into Survivor Series, as both guys were kind of the team captains of their individual teams. So I like this booking. I think it makes sense to have it kind of thrown out. You can build towards something. You can blow it off. I kind of like the idea as well. We're talking about this because we are hurtling towards Royal Rumble season. If you look at some of the Rumbles in years past, the one that's popping in my mind is 1997. I like the idea of having guys do singles matches on the undercard and then be part of the Rumble afterwards. I mean, yes, sometimes depending on the performer, you might, lose a little bit of zip in terms of their pop because it's the second time in the night you're seeing them. But at the same time, I don't think it's that necessary for the purposes of the Rumble to get an enormous pop. And you know what? If you're a big enough star like a Piper or a Flair, where they would still get a very visceral reaction, even being seen a second time. So I kind of like the idea of maybe building this towards a Rumble and seeing these two guys go one-on-one and then go on to the match, the actual Rumble match, and kind of go from there. So I like this booking a lot. It opens a lot of potential for future matches and future programs.
No, I do appreciate those kind words, but I do have to say that if we were to potentially put it at 92 Rumble, that means that Piper does not win the Intercontinental Championship, which we will come across later. Who's to say Flair could not win it and then get it from him? Like, you know what I mean? We do what we want. It's our show. It's our rules. I hope you know this. But yeah, I appreciate that. I like it a lot. I didn't want to have anybody lose because Piper, when you think of his career, the man really never lost. And if he did, it wasn't cleanly. Then you look at Ric Flair. He's brand new into the company. You don't want him to throw a loss right away, especially after coming off of that 91 Survivor Series. He's still the real world's champion in his eyes. So yeah, I figured these two have history all the way back to the NWA. Let them just do a quick slugfest. Let's set something up and let's go from there.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And to your point about Piper's win-loss record, I mean, in terms of his WWF career from 85 until, let's say, 96, when he had his final match with Goldust at the Hollywood Backlot Brawl, I think the only time he ever legitimately lost and had his shoulders pinned was at WrestleMania 8 to Brett. If you look at WrestleMania 1, he didn't take the pin. He didn't lose to Mr. T. He beat Adrian Adonis. So, I mean, he beat Bad News Brown. So, I mean, if you look at all these different matches, I don't recall Piper ever having a loss other than to Brett.
Okay. He never beat Bad News Brown because that's the match I kind of used for this as the example. They had a no contest too, and they fought all the way to the back.
Well, okay, so I stand corrected. I'm wearing my orthopedic shoes, but I have to say, I mean, even though he didn't lose the match, it's still not a loss for him. It's a throwout. So, I mean, can you think of a match that he lost other than Brett at WrestleMania 8?
I cannot, especially a one-on-one. I really cannot. He was very protected, and it made sense because he was the ultimate heel and the ultimate face at the same time. I don't know any old school wrestling fan, especially, that does not love Roddy Piper.
How could you not? He's the ultimate rebel. He's the ultimate heel. He's a character babyface. He is what Austin would become a decade later. I mean, he is the as I said, character babyface, the bad guy that you love to cheer, even though he's a heel basically in terms of his actions. He would have moments where he would have face-like tendencies, but I mean, look at his run in the post WrestleMania 1 era leading up to WrestleMania 1. Look what an incredible heel he was going into that event. You know, the Cyndi Lauper stuff. So yeah, I can't say enough about Piper, and I think that having him involved in Ric Flair's first kind of major feud in the promotion when he came in makes all the sense in the world. I'm all for it.
He also showed up to chew bubblegum and kick ass and ran all out of bubblegum. What more could you want from a man?
Well, I guess for him, he just wants some more bubblegum, but they didn't have it. Maybe craft services was running low that day.
No more Hubba Bubba for the hot rod, unfortunately.
Yes, I do. You know what I prefer is a Big League Chew. Remember Big League Chew?
I feel like we're doing a Family Guy gimmick right now because that's one of their things. But funnily enough, I had some Big League Chew about a week ago, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, you get like 3 bites out of it, and then you'd have to put some more because the flavor would be gone. But you know what? I looked it up. I know we're doing a sidebar here, but hell, it's our show. We can do whatever we want. I looked it up on Amazon not too long ago, and you can get like a case of it for like $30, and I was tempted to because I remember it was a lot of fun. It's kind of weird the whole genesis behind it, the fact that it's supposed to simulate chewing tobacco, but all things being equal, great.
No, but it is chewing tobacco because you take a few bites out of it and then you're done with it and you spit it out and you put more in. It's 100% chewing tobacco for children.
That's not how chewing tobacco works, but your point is taken.
Well, I can honestly say I've never had chaw in my mouth, so I don't know how it works. But that's
you put a wad of it under your lip or on your top of your lip. I've chewed a few times in my life, and it's not as simple as putting it in, spitting out twice, and then starting it over. Usually, the thing sticks in there for a good half hour, 45 minutes, or however long you want to do it. But anyhow, we digress in a major way. Going from Big League Chew and Roddy Piper, we are going on to the next match on our card, which is the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, defeating the Warlord.
So kind of you could call them both Big League Chew at this point. But anyway, the next match on my card, scheduled for one fall, is for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. And we have Bret the Hitman Hart defending against somebody that last week I said is somebody that does not get enough love or enough credit for what he has done. And I have him against Skinner. I kept that match. I just changed the placement in the card. The match itself was great. Bret's still going over, but it's a technician's finest match.
Nice. I love it. This is one of those times where I'm not going to disagree with a whole lot of what you've done here. I don't think that Tuesday in Texas itself was necessarily a bad event. It's not one of those events where we're like, oh, well, it can only get better. This was a pretty solid event as it was. But I mean, this particular match, I wouldn't have changed it either. I mean, you were giving me shit last week for not changing enough, and you've kept this match now. So I think that this particular match is actually really good. It was a great opener, but I really like the idea of you kind of sandwiching it in here. And if the concept of the event is to try to get main event matches for each match due to the duration and length of it, this makes all the sense in the world to keep this one.
Yeah, now I know I said that I'm doing main event matches for every match, but we'll get to the one that really isn't or is, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, I thought that this one was a solid opener on the original card. Steve Kern has done some amazing things in the WWE, and Skinner. I guess we go back to chewing tobacco with Skinner, don't we? That's really weird. But goddamn, the Alligator Man was terrifying to a child. I will openly say that as, what year was this? 91? As a 7-year-old, 7-year-old, I was not happy with him. I was scared of him. I wanted Bret Hart to beat him. I hated that he had the fucking alligator's foot on a chain around his neck. He looked like he needed a bath and brush his teeth. It was disgusting. But going back as a grown-up and watching it, my God, was Skinner just fantastic or what? Why he didn't have a longer run, I will never know.
Okay, I agree with all of that. Two things I want to point out to you. One is a question, which is, do you know what it actually was that he was chewing on when he would walk to the ring?
Well, I assume not chewing tobacco, so can I make a wild guess and say coffee grinds?
It was black licorice.
Ew, even worse.
Yeah, and so my second question to you is, I have, our show's all about fantasy booking and all that kind of thing, and I am still dumbfounded about the fact that at some point it wasn't revealed that the father of the Wyatt family was Skinner. That would have been the coolest thing ever, had you had Skinner come out and be like the brainchild behind the entire Wyatt family, kind of like a Devil's Rejects type thing. I think it would have been so cool.
Yeah, that would have worked really well. I could see that playing off of the whole swamp gimmick. I know they call it Cape Fear is what they seemed like it was based on, but for me that was more Waylon Mercy. I 100% could see Skinner being Bray Wyatt's daddy. And yes, I said daddy because Bray Wyatt seems like somebody being from the South that would be like, oh, daddy said we had to do this. Daddy said we had to do that. But then you look at Harper, Rowan, I'm not going to say Strowman, because when Strowman joined the Wyatt family, it kind of went downhill for me. But it makes sense. Have him there. Then you can have Sister Abigail either still constantly being teased, or you put somebody in that position. I know there were talks about Paige. Don't know if I like that. A Nikki Cross would have been cool, but then you have the accent, and I don't know if you would cover it up. But fuck yeah. Skinner is the leader of the Wyatt family. That's yeah, you're on to something there, bud.
I always thought, yeah, Skinner could either be the father or an uncle. Would he even be cooler? You can tell the story about how, Bray Wyatt's father passed away, but you have the uncle Skinner who's taken up the mantle of the family. And as far as Abigail went, I always thought might be fun, had she not left the company, to have it be AJ Lee. You can have Abigail Lee as a member of the Wyatt family.
Now, I see why you did that with the name, but I personally do not like that. I don't think the character lends to that. She was already kind of a crazy one screw less of a full set there, but I don't like her in the manipulative role that would have been Sister Abigail. She was already playing I'm the cute little thing. I'm going to get boys to do what I want to do while I skip around and be a psychopath. And I think that worked perfectly for her. So I would say don't put her in that.
That's fine. That's totally fine. I just thought that that's a story you could play off. That's where she learned how to be manipulative would be from the family. And the reason why she's a little crazy is because of her upbringing. And then finally, like, she's trying to keep this secret that she has any affiliation to this family. And then when it becomes revealed, then she kind of reverts back into being a full-fledged member of the family. Anyways, I know we're getting way off track here, but I just thought since we were talking about Skinner, I'd take the opportunity to kind of expand the multiverse in my mind of how I would have loved to have seen it go. But anyhow, that's my Wyatt family discussion for the week.
Are we doing that weekly now? Is that going to be a thing?
Yeah, it's going to be like the Firefly Funhouse, but we're just going to call it the Wyatt Family Weekly maybe or something. We're just going to talk about the Wyatt family every single week now because apparently I'm a big mark for them now.
I am 100% holding you to this, and we are doing this every fucking week. Middle of the show, beginning of the show, end of the show, I don't care. One of us is going to throw it in there, and we're just going to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can hold it to Tyrone right here. He has said this. I'm betting he forgets by the end of the episode, but we'll see.
I don't even remember what we were talking about right now.
A Tuesday in Texas, pal.
Right. Like the Charlie Daniels song. I'm ready. All right.
So far on this episode, we have covered Big League 2.
That was Georgia, not Texas. Fuck me. I'm completely off the rails.
Yeah, this week we have covered, we have misquoted bands. We have covered Big League 2, the Wyatt family, AJ Lee, Skinner, and who knows where else we're going to go with this. Maybe we'll get a Pillsbury Pizza Pop reference in there at some point too. But the next match on the card is scheduled for a tag team encounter, which is the Repo Man and the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, accompanied by Sensational Sherry, defeating El Matador, Tito Santana, and Virgil.
The next match on the card, scheduled for one fall, is a coal miner's glove match between Jake the Snake Roberts and Randy Macho Man Savage.
Okay. I do not like the stipulation.
No, I'm 100% fucking. I'm 100% fucking with you. That is not a stipulation. It is Randy Savage versus Jake the Snake Roberts in an old-fashioned grudge match.
Okay, I was going to ask you if Jack Tunney was back there spinning the wheel and making some deals, because I did not want to see a coal miner's glove match when it happened, and I certainly didn't want to see one tonight.
I still don't know what one is after all of these fucking years. So yeah, we're not doing that. We're having straight up Jake Roberts, Randy Savage. As soon as the bell rings, they are running at each other. They are fighting. It is insane. Savage is going up to the rope, hitting the double axe handle. Jake is kind of rolling out to catch his breath, using his mind games. As soon as he rolls back in, Savage follows him back in, hits him with the stomps a few times, drops a couple of elbows, kind of gets the upper hand for a little while, to the point that he goes into the opposing corner, does what he does, and kind of crouches down, constantly smiling while putting a finger up to his temple, making it seem like he's playing the mind games. He's in control. Savage gets the second win, though. Starts legitimately beating the living hell out of him, to the point that this looks real. This looks like somebody whose wife really was just potentially abused by a man. And he is, I'm not saying Jake abused Elizabeth. That's not the storyline. I'm just using it for a reference. For all you married men out there, you know what I'm talking about. He is legitimately beating the living hell out of him, to the point that Jake gets to the ropes. Rope break is called. Jake rolls out, picks up a chair, making it look like he's going to do something. Savage, being Savage, does his fun little jump over the top rope, landing on his feet, has his arms stretched wide, going, do it, brother. Jake will not. He's playing the mind games again. He gets back in the ring. Savage, clearly getting fed up with all of this, picks up the chair, goes into the ring, goes to hit Jake with the chair. Jake ducks it, kicks him in the midsection, short arm clothesline into a DDT for the clean win. Your winner, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Okay. I don't hate the fact that Jake's going over. I think that's good. The only thing for me is, like, does this feud continue then, or are we going to blow it off? Because I just feel like there was so much tension built up into this particular story, especially after the Cobra. Are we going to continue with this? The other question I have is post-match, are we still going to get that scene where Roberts just beats the holy hell out of Savage, and then Elizabeth comes out and Elizabeth gets hit? Is that still going to happen,
No.
or is that not happening anymore?
No, we're going a different direction with this. Roberts gets the win cleanly, and again, just starts laughing, slithers out of the ring, points to his temple again, saying, like, I'm smarter than you, I have the upper hand, and walks away. That is how it ends. Will the feud continue? I mean, there's main events, there's Saturday night main events, there's the Royal Rumble, there's WrestleMania. It's really up to us where we go with this, but this is where I'm leaving it on this night.
So it's just, so he's attacked him with the Cobra. Then they've had this brawl at Survivor Series. Roberts has then cost Hulk Hogan the championship, and now we're going into this match, and we're just going to do it with the one clean DDT, and then Roberts just kind of slithers out of the ring, and that's that.
It's mind games, my friend.
No, I'm just trying.
Mind games.
I'm not doubting
yes,
you.
That is 100% what we're doing. If you wanted to, I could have brought Jerry Lawler into the pay-per-view. There could have been a Jack Daniels bottle involved, but we're not there. I don't take the low road. I don't bring Jerry Lawler in. He is lowball to me completely. But I'm sorry, that was a shot at you. I apologize. But no, we're having Savage do the job. Jake wins, but with the sinister smile and the constant point to the temple, doesn't seem like anything's over yet.
No, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, because in a weird way, it does kind of make sense for Jake's psychology. Just when you think that, he's taken out Savage, Savage is prone on the canvas, kind of lifeless from the DDT, having just lost to Jake. This is the exact moment where you'd expect Jake to strike and to just completely eviscerate Savage in the ring. And for him to slither out and leave, it kind of in a weird way fits with Jake's psychology, because you don't know what he's going to do next. I kind of like this booking.
You never know when a snake is going to strike.
That's it. So yeah, you know what? I'm actually okay with this. I really liked what they did in canon. I really liked the angle with Elizabeth and Jake, and of course the promo that Jake did afterwards. I mean, obviously it's all a show. I don't advocate anything that they did in real life. Obviously, that goes without saying, but I said it anyways. But for the purposes of the storyline and advancing the story, I thought it was really tremendous. That promo he cut afterwards was just insane. One of my favorite Jake promos ever. But this particular booking, this is really good too. I really like this a lot.
Well, thank you. Now, because I know after what we were supposed to have, it goes into the main event, I'm just going to lay out the next match that I have right now. And it is what Jay and I like to call the ebbs and flows of a pay-per-view. You can't keep them high all the time. You got to let them come down a little bit just to get them back up. So the next match on the card is the Repo Man going one-on-one with the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith.
That's an interesting match.
Well, when you look at the original card, like the Bulldog was on there with the Warlord, and I think Repo teamed with DiBiase in a weird series of things there. So I thought, why not just eliminate a lot of this shit? Have these two, who Bulldog was on the up and up, but he wasn't a main eventer yet. Repo Man had just kind of re-debuted with this new character. Why not have them go one-on-one? And why not have the Repo Man go over?
Yeah, that's exactly where I thought you were going with this. And that makes all the sense in the world to me. Again, this is one of those cards where I'm just not arguing with you a lot, because there's nothing to argue about. I mean, I think it makes all the sense. It's not going to hurt the Bulldog any to do a job to Repo Man, especially coming in with that new gimmick. The Bulldog was a pretty pretty big star at this point. He was upper mid card to probably close to the top of the card at this point. Bulldog could have main evented against someone on a house show loop, maybe the B Towns or something. So I see this. I actually, to speak of that, the Bulldog actually wrestled the Undertaker in Hamilton. I think it was the day after or the 2 days after the Survivor Series pay-per-view in Cannon. They wrestled at the Cops Coliseum in Hamilton in the main event for the championship, the Bulldog versus Undertaker. So to your point, I mean, the Bulldog is pretty over at this point. So for him to go and do a job to a re-debuting Repo Man, who of course was a member of Demolition previously, makes all the sense to me. I'm completely fine with that. So how did you have the match go? How did you?
Whoa. Hold on. Repo Man was in Demolition?
Yes, he was.
Shut up. Really?
You're an idiot. You know that he was.
No, I don't. Like, was he the Axe or was he the Smasher?
He was part of Demolition, a walking disaster.
All right, yeah, I know it. I was just fucking around with you.
Good old Barry Darso.
I honestly have this match going with Bulldog having the upper hand for 90% of it. He puts him up for the Gorilla Press. He drops him. When he goes to pick him up for the running power slam, Repo Man decides to repossess Davey Boyd's brain and rips out a couple of his brains. As that happens, and he's literally like, what the fuck? The hair has just been ripped from my head. Repo Man hits him with a roll-up. 1, 2, 3. That's it.
Okay, that's a violent finish. I mean, I hope he was wearing extensions and they weren't like shoot braids, but yeah, I'm fine with that. I think it makes sense to do that and have Repo come out strong. I mean, as again, he was kind of being developed as a new character on television, whether you liked Repo Man or you didn't. When you have a star like that that's being repackaged, obviously they're going to get some wins.
I'm not going to lie. I sadly really like the Repo Man.
I think it fit with the time. I mean, it maybe went on a little longer than it needed to, but I think it fit with 1991 WWF. Made all the sense in the world to have a Repo Man. You had every other occupation in the world on the card.
Also, when you think about the fact that he's Barry Darso, he was Smash, but he looked so much different than what he did when Smash. He cut his hair off. He looked like he kind of gained a bit of weight, but nothing crazy. Longer tights, put on a Zorro mask instead of face paint. All of a sudden, a completely different human being. Like, as a child, I had no idea that they were the same person. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, just thinking about Bobby Heenan in commentary during the match on the actual event where he's like, the Repo Man repossessed Zorro's or the Lone Ranger's mask. He owed Tonto $50. So that was really funny. But yeah, no, that makes all the sense in the world.
That's just classic Bobby Heenan, though. I'm sorry to cut you off there.
No, it is. It is for sure. I have to ask you, just quick sidebar here. I know we're kind of doing a lot of sidebars on this episode, but I think it's because the actual event isn't that long. Is the $1 Million Man on this card or no?
No, he is not. And I toyed with that one, but I honestly thought with 9 dark matches on this card, 10 dark matches on this card, whatever it was, he could have been on there against a Virgil or something like that.
No, that's completely fine. But the reason I ask is because I didn't want to get into it prematurely. I just want to quickly just touch on how awesome I thought the Ted DiBiase Sensational Sherry combination was. It's so overlooked all the time. And I just feel like at this point in both their careers, it was such an awesome mix. It was such a great pair to put them together, and it just fit. It made so much sense in my mind. And I just wish that it had gone on longer. There's something about Sensational Sherry with all that face paint and everything coming off of having been, the Macho King's manager for a period of time. Having her aligned with DiBiase, I thought was such an awesome pairing, and I wish it was celebrated a little bit more.
See, I disagree. I didn't think DiBiase needed it, and I also don't think Sherry needed it. Like DiBiase's coming off of his relationship with Virgil, the bodyguard type situation that they had. Once that ended, I don't think DiBiase needed anything. I think Sherry could have gone and elevated a younger superstar a little bit more, as she would with Shawn Michaels going forward. But I really don't think that DiBiase and Sherry needed to be together at all.
Well, I'm not saying do it for forever, but I mean, it was good for how long it lasted. For me, my personal taste, I could have seen it last a little bit longer than it did. But I think for the purposes of where we were in this particular time frame, it made all the sense in the world to put them together. And I think in terms of Sherry's character, I mean, she had aligned herself with Macho King after, Elizabeth was out of the picture. So I feel like it kind of is it's indicative of the Sherry character that she would go from one power player to the next. So clearly after what happened at WrestleMania 7 with Savage and Warrior, and then she's kind of left out in the cold. So now you have her align herself with DiBiase, who's the $1 million man. She's been bought off by him. She's a very attractive woman, obviously. So DiBiase would want to have her on his arm. I just feel like it was a good fit.
See, now I don't know if it's just because of the way you just worded that or not, but I think it would have been a lot better if he had legitimately paid her for her managerial services. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying escort wise, but I'm saying, oh, you're down on your luck. You don't have Macho King anymore. You're no longer a queen. Why don't you come be with the $1 million man? Why don't you let me pay you to do this? All you have to do is give me your managerial services in return. Like, almost like a Pretty Woman situation with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, but without the hooker. Does that make sense?
No, yeah. Just take just take that out of the equation. I get what you're saying, but I think for me, in my mind's eye, I kind of think that it had been established at this point already that Sensational Sherry was such a resourceful character, a resourceful person, that she would have found a way to align herself, with Ted DiBiase without having to be necessarily offered that olive branch. I almost feel like not to say that she would manipulate Ted DiBiase, but I feel like she would be able to convince him to bring her on board and be a member of his, I guess, pseudo corporation or what have you at that time. I don't know. I just wanted to bring it up because I feel like it's never talked about and we haven't talked about it before on our show. I just really wanted to give some love to that pairing, and I think it's a really underrated one. That's kind of where I'm going with that. And Tyrone is gone. We have lost Tyrone. Tyrone disagrees with me strongly.
Oh, shit. Sorry, I was on mute as I was ranting. Didn't even realize that. I said, I am so glad that you got your chance to shed your love about Martel and DiBiase being together there, because there's a good chance we are never going to talk about it again because it was not memorable.
Yeah, that's fair. It wasn't memorable, but that's why I wanted to bring it up, because when I did remember it, I really enjoyed it. Anyhow, going on from that particular match, the aforementioned match.
Hold on. You say that when you remember it, it's because you really enjoyed it. So it's kind of like the Tahiti Treat of wrestling. I don't know if you remember Tahiti Treat, but my God, that was a soda pop here in Canada. You can't find it anywhere else. Well, I mean, we have American listeners, so soda for them, pop for us. Soda pop. It was the best sugary drink in the history of them, and you can't find it fucking here anywhere anymore. They released a new one called Tahitian Treat. Not the same. I challenge all of you to find me Tahiti Treat. You find me Tahiti Treat, you drop it in the comments right now. And Royal Crown Cola while you're at it. Give me some RC Cola. Let's do that too.
I have a source to find both for you, pal. We'll talk off air. We'll get you your soda pop fix there. You want a little soda pop there, bud? You want a little soda pop? Maybe some chips?
I do. I need my sugar. It's getting late at night right now. This is my bedtime and we're still going. So yes, I need my soda pop.
Okay, sounds good. We'll get you a little soda pop. Sounds good. from there, we've just gone off the rails once again. So just a quick tally. We've talked about Big League Chew, talked about Soda Pop. We've talked about the Wyatt family. And I'm sure we've talked about other stuff too. Let's talk about some more wrestling. We have just covered the British Bulldog taking a loss to the Repo Man after a quick roll-up pin. Very curious to see where you take us next on this journey at Tuesday in Texas. Where do you have us going next? Are we going into the main event, or do we have something else on tap?
No, we're going into the main event just because it's almost Wednesday by this point, so the whole tagline doesn't make sense anymore. So, the main event of this match is The Undertaker defending his WWF Championship against the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Okay. That's right about where I figured we'd land. Very, very curious to see where you book this, because based off where we came from Survivor Series 1991, I feel like all bets are off right now. I really don't know, with your history of booking, where we are going here. So I'm just going to lay out, and I want you to paint me a portrait, if you will, of give me your best Bob Ross of this particular match.
Well, I'm more of a fan of Art Attack, so let's go with that. It's a little bit more freestyle. There's no happy little bushes and trees going on here. So we're going to fast forward to pretty much the end of the match. The referee has been knocked down after The Undertaker threw Hulk Hogan into him. Hogan then does his hulking up. But as he's hulking up, he is able to knock The Undertaker to the ground. Once that happens and he goes for the leg drop, as he is about to hit it, Undertaker sits up. Hogan doesn't know what to do. All of a sudden, Paul Bearer is on the ring apron, urn in hand. That's when Hogan then takes the urn. As he is about to hit The Undertaker with it, you see his hand shaking, wondering what's going on. He takes the lid off the urn, and my God, doesn't a cobra pop out? As the cobra pops out, it shakes Hogan completely. All of a sudden, Jake Roberts is in the area. He's at the top of the ramp, looking down, again, pointing to his forehead and just smiling. No other words are said. Once Hulk Hogan turns back around, he walks into an Undertaker tombstone. 1, 2, 3. And still, your WWF champion, The Undertaker.
I have to tell you, I like this booking. I really like this booking a lot. When you first suggested the shaking of the urn, I was starting to wonder if it was going to be, the Undertaker's supernatural powers, which I was not into at all. But then when you revealed that the Cobra came out, that did it bite Hogan, or is it just kind of fall onto the mat?
It just falls onto the mat just enough to kind of scare him, for Jake to show up at the entranceway and, like I said, point to his temple, smile, and walk away.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is I like about that is he wasn't even give a shit about the Cobra. He'd just be like, okay, well, it served its purpose. Who cares now? That's actually really good. I'm surprised. I didn't know where you were going with this, but I actually really, really like that booking, and it opens up so many possibilities. It's interesting to see that the Undertaker is going into the year 1992 with the championship. I mean, presumably. We'll see what happens going forward, but yeah, I don't dislike that booking at all. I do like that you had a run in by the band from Mos Eisley there in Tatooine. That was fun with your little ode to Star Wars there in the background. I enjoyed that. But no, I got to tell you, man, that's really solid booking.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I apologize for the Star Wars. That was a ringtone, but it's since left.
There's nothing to apologize for. It was funny, actually. I got a good snicker out of hearing that song. It was quite funny.
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to feel like you're in a canteen in Tatooine. That's it.
That's it. The Canteen Band in Tatooine. I like it. I like it a lot. In fact, maybe we should make that a theme sometime for when when we come in on live, hot on the air, we could have that bring us in. But no, I mean,
we could very well get sued by Lucasfilms if we did that.
What are they going to take? Your wrestling buddies? What are they going to take from me?
My wrestling buddies and your 100 DVDs that you talked about last week in collections.
Perfect. So if George Lucas wants to watch the anthology of SummerSlam and the Royal Rumble and wants to wrestle with a plush Hulk Hogan at the same time, have at it, Hoss. Listen, I think you done a really good job booking this week. I know we went a lot off topic this week, folks. We're having a lot of fun. It's one of those episodes where we're just kind of in our groove. We're having a little bit of sidebar here. If you don't like it, we apologize. I know a lot of you were tuned in for the booking and the rebooking, and I think we did a really good job of it. Rather, Tyrone did. It's been a really fun experience with this experiment we tried, bookending two events like this. We haven't done that before in such short order, where we would have, me book an event one week and then Tyrone book the preceding event the following week. And then, of course, have it in such short time frame as this one was, less than a week between the events in canon. So I had a lot of fun this week. I got a lot of good laughs. And I really, really enjoyed where you finally went with this. I think that Cobra inside the urn gimmick is actually genius, and it opens up a lot of possibilities. So I'd give you a big thumbs up this week for everything, man. I think you did a really good job.
Well, thank you so much, sir. And I got to say, I had fun with this one. It was a shorter show to get through, which made me laugh, but I think we're done with 1991 for a little while, if that's okay with you.
I think we're actually, unless we start booking.
Actually,
Saturday
I guess we're.
I think we're done with 91 altogether.
Fucking A, bookend it. Let's move on. I think it's time to give Jay a fun little event. He has been very gracious to me over the last couple of months, me not being able to participate all the time. We've had fun with these ones. We are diving into season 2. Let's give Jay what he wants. Let's give Jay an in your house. But not just any in your house, Jay. You're doing in your house DX.
All righty. From Springfield, Massachusetts. If I'm not mistaken, it happened on December 7th, 1997. That's all from the top of my head, folks. That's recall. That is being an indoorsy kid during your formative years. That's where you remember that stuff from. I really enjoyed this particular event. There's a lot of stuff I'd change. There's a lot of stuff that I would I'd tweak and play around with. Hard pressed to call it an in your house at this point. We didn't have the set. We didn't have the in your house, the obligatory theme song about the lumberjacks and all the rest. Obviously, it's a different area. We're going back in time to the birthplace of the Attitude Era in a lot of people's minds, which is fresh off Survivor Series 1997, which we have booked twice on this show. So I don't think we're going to be doing that too often, doubling up on the same event. Looking forward to this one. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I have to say to you, all things considered, we're just over a year into the show. And the fact that we've tied up 1991 from where we started last year at the Royal Rumble, going all the way through to WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and now Survivor Series and Tuesday in Texas, I really hold up 1991 as a fun year that we rebooked, and I'm proud of it, man.
I agree completely. It's just really fun to think that we've done the whole year, but when you think of 97, have we only done the last 2 pay-per-views of that year for the most part now?
Yeah, 97 we didn't touch at all last year because, as aforementioned in the previous episode, when we first started booking the show, we didn't know that we were going to be creating our own kind of multiverse. We weren't going to connect every event to one another, and that was something that never really occurred to us. So once we decided that we were going to do that, it made sense to go back and revisit our booking of 1997's offering of the Survivor Series so we could put Bret Hart back into the universe that we were creating. So that is the reason why we have done Survivor Series. Now, apparently next week, we're going to do In Your House D-Generation X. And then from there, I'm really looking forward to being fairly 97 heavy next year. I feel like it'll be the 25th anniversary of 1997, which is one of my favorite years in wrestling. And I think that between the two of us, we can come up with some really fun stuff for the pay-per-views in 1997. What do you think?
I think that if we do the Rumble 97, we have to have Mil Mascaris win the entire event.
I think that
shits and gigs.
I will flip a two-headed coin to make sure that you don't get the booking for that particular event. Then we got Kurt Hennig last year. I don't need
okay,
Mil Mascaris.
Then give me Cibernetico or Latin Lover or at least one of the AAA guys. Come on, there's got to be somebody.
How about Tarantula?
Didn't he come back as El Torito down the road?
Or maybe Max Mini. Let's have Max Mini win the Royal Rumble.
You know what? Don't toy with me, bud, because I would love that.
He wasn't at the Royal Rumble 97. You know who was?
Mini Vader and Mini Mankind. Yeah, exact. Fuck, we said it in reverse orders, but we still said it. That's why we do what we do.
That's why we would do what we do. And that's why we cannot wait to dive into the year 2022's schedule of events, especially coming off of this very successful year that we have booked in 1991. I cannot wait to see where we go next year. I feel like it's going to be some 1992. We're going to get into some 1997. We're going to get into some WCW, some ECW, some NXT, maybe some Ring of Honor, maybe even some Impact. And we have a lot of fun stuff on tap. You know what? Maybe we'll even do some AWA or some old pre-Turner NWA. Maybe we'll touch on Glow. Maybe we'll touch on Kevin Nash's appreciation episode number 2, our two-parter. We'll see. But with that being said, Tyrone, as we go right off into the sunset from San Antonio on that fateful evening in December of 1991, where can our listening audience find us on social media?
Well, for all you Wyatt family lovers out there, you know where to find us. We are on Facebook at Good Friends, Better Enemies Podcast, on Twitter at Good_Enemies, and on Instagram at Good_Enemies. And for everything under the Counted Out 7 umbrella, including us, including Tyler and Anthony and their wonderful Classroom podcast, go to countout7.com.
And don't forget to check out the Classic Match Classroom with our good, dear, close personal, longtime friend Tyler, as well as Anthony from the Titantron podcast. They're doing some riveting stuff over there and cataloging some feuds that need to be talked about, and talked about the way that Tyler talks about them and teaches young Anthony all about the yesteryears of wrestling. But with that being said, for myself, for Tyrone, for Tuesday in Texas, for In Your House Degeneration X, for Big League 2, for the Wyatt family, and for all of us here at the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast, the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast thanks you very much.
Bye from the Canteen Band.